Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we are doing the 2023 mid-year top 10s as we look at the 168-pound super middleweight division and take a look at where everybody's ranked at the halfway point of the year, how I've made my adjustments to my rankings, and how they're going to be, what they're going to be doing heading into the second half of the year. Now, before we get into that, if you guys could smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I try to build my channel up more here. And if there's something you don't like that I'm doing, give me a thumbs down or leave me a comment letting me know what you don't like. So we're going to start with the guys that have dropped out of the top 10 from the beginning of the year. And those are, there's two guys. First is former two-time WBC champion, previously number 9, Anthony Durrell. Durrell, he just drops out just based on, you know, we don't know what he's going to do next. He got brutally knocked out against Caleb Plant. Hasn't done really much of anything in the last, couple years. So right now, he's still floating around the top 10, but I do think he's contemplating retirement. We haven't heard anything from him since the knockout loss to Plant last October. And, hopefully he can shed some light on what he plans on doing next. But as of right now, I haven't heard anything. Also dropping out is another former two-time champion, but from middleweight, and that is Daniel Jacobs, who was previously number 5. Daniel Jacobs, I'm a big fan of him, but he's been inactive since that loss to John Ryder in either February or March of last year. The rule used to be 1 year. If you haven't announced anything, if you haven't fought in a year and your next fight is not formally scheduled, I used to drop a guy out. But I've been a little bit more flexible since COVID. It's been more like a year and a half I've been giving fighters. But it's also based on if you're even making any noise about fighting again. And I haven't heard shit about Daniel Jacobs. Not one thing. So for me, he's 35, 36 now. Doesn't seem to be, too into it anymore. At least not right now since that loss to Ryder. So I'm dropping him out for the time being. I hope he does come back for the end of the year, though, and makes one last big run at something, because I still think he's got the talent to definitely be a threat and the name to make big fights. But number 10, and he remains number 10, is the undefeated Edgar Berlanga. Berlanga, it's basically his undefeated record and what people want him to become, why he's ranked right here. He returned for the first time in over a year and took on former world title challenger Jason Quigley. I felt like he needed to knock Quigley out impressively in order to prove to us that he's ready for the next level. And he went in there, and it was a closer kind of fight. I have no doubt that he won the fight, and he definitely scored a couple knockdowns to cement that. But I just feel like it wasn't, a great performance, and he ended up winning a decision. And I was just like, well, I'm just unimpressed. I'm keeping him ranked here for now. But it really depends on what he does the rest of the year. I know there's talks of Jaime Munguia and different things like that. But, if he wants to test himself again, I'm all down. I know he was shaking off some rust from the longest layoff of his career, which is over a year, heading into this fight. But I just expected more against Quigley. But I guess we'll see what he does in the second half of the year. Maybe an eliminator, maybe, Jaime Munguia. We'll see. Number 9 is Vladimir Shishkin. He previously was number 8, so he drops one spot. He's the IBF's number 2 contender. He hasn't fought yet this year. Remember, Shishkin defeated Jose Ustadegui last year, got the biggest win of his career in an IBF eliminator. Again, he's the IBF number 2. I would love to see him in the ring against a guy like Berlanga to prove himself, but Shishkin might be a PBC guy, so I'm not holding my breath. I'm hoping we do see him land something. Excuse me. I believe that part of the Canelo fallout, Shishkin's going to be one of those guys that could potentially, you could see him in the ring with like a Caleb Plant, maybe a David Benavidez, maybe a David Morrell, because now that Canelo has decided on Charlo for, from 154, Jamel Charlo, now everybody else is going to be making their moves on what they're doing the remainder of the year. And Shishkin might be able to land somebody like a Caleb Plant or somebody on that level to move up the ladder. So we'll see. He might get a big opportunity. Number 7 is former 3-time world title challenger Sergey Derevyanchenko. He got another big fight as the B-side against Jaime Munguia. He moved up to 168 to fight him, and he fought his ass off. He took a knockdown in the 12th round, which probably cost him the fight on the scorecards, but he fought his ass off, and a lot of people still feel he deserved a decision in that one against Munguia. It was a close, good fight, fight of the year candidate, and he proved even at 37 that he could still bang. So he is going to be looked at as your consummate gatekeeper if he cannot land that rematch with Munguia, which he deserves. But he's going to be looked at as that consummate gatekeeper, and guys are going to want to fight him to try to prove themselves. So he's still got a career rolling, and I hope he gets a big opportunity, but I really hope he gets the rematch with Munguia before the end of the year. He's a WBC's number 8 contender at super middleweight. That's his highest ranking. Number 6 is Jaime Munguia, the former junior middleweight champion, still undefeated. Again, he defeated Sergey Derevyanchenko by that somewhat controversial decision in a fight of the year candidate. Very good fight. He did score a knockdown in the 12th round that probably sealed him the win on the scorecards. But a lot of questions still arise, or are still out there about Munguia and how good he is. He's a WBC's number 2 contender at super middleweight right now, and there's a lot of talks because of the Canelo fallout of choosing his next opponent. Munguia is going to have to make a choice, and I would love to see him in Berlanga. I really want to see him give Derevyanchenko a much-deserved rematch, though. But we'll see how it all shakes out and what he decides to do. I'm sure we're going to be seeing him back by October, November area, but hopefully we hear something very soon. Number 5 is the undefeated former 2-division world champion Demetrius Andrade. Andrade finally in, I think it was January, on the Tank Davis, Hector Luis Garcia undercard, finally made his debut at 168 and took on Damon Nicholson, and got a convincing 12-round unanimous decision in that one. Right now, he is a WBO and WBA's number 1 ranked contender. But that doesn't mean anything with Canelo as the undisputed champ. They do not enforce him to fight his mandatories. He can fight whoever he wants, and those governing bodies are going to allow him to do that. But him being with the PBC, I'm not ruling out that he could land the showdown with Canelo in this 3-fight deal, the 3-fight deal that Canelo signed with the PBC. I don't think he's going to get it, but if he can fight one of the bigger names and beat him in this second half of the year, and that includes the Caleb Plants, the David Benavidez, the David Morrell, if he gets one of those guys in the ring and beats him, I think he can do that. Or even Charlo, but he has to get one of those guys. The time is now. He has to land one of those guys in order to do it, and he is the number 1 contender to Morrell. Maybe the WBA orders Morrell to fight Andrade next. But we got to see what Benavidez wants to do, because Benavidez is the next big dog to make a call now. And he can fight, is he going to want to fight Andrade? Is he going to want to fight Morrell? I think in the next couple months, a lot of noise is going to be made, and we're going to find out what potentially could happen and then go from there. So hopefully Andrade gets that big fight finally that will prove if he deserves Canelo or not. Number 4 is former 2-time world title challenger John Ryder. John Ryder got his crack. He was the interim champ coming in. He was ranked, I had him at number 3 coming into the year, but he got his opportunity against Canelo Alvarez for the undisputed title, and he fought as hard as he could. He got put down a couple times in that fight, busted up. Canelo is still on another level. He's still one of the pound-for-pound best. John Ryder went in there and went the distance. He finished the fight, showed a lot of heart. John Ryder, after the fight, still wants to get back in the mix. He wants Jaime Munguia. He wants Triple G. The guy's fearless. I appreciate that. He's number 6 by the WBO right now, and I'm just hoping John Ryder gets a nice opportunity in the second half of the year. I like that he's not all about the money. He's not just about, you know, oh, I lost to Canelo, so I'll take the rest of the year off. No, this guy wants to fight. He wants to get back in there, and I appreciate that. So big ups to John Ryder in defeat to Canelo in May, and we'll see what he does next. Number 3, moving up one spot from number 4, is the former IBF champion Caleb Plant. He fought David Benavidez in March. He fought as hard as he could. It was a close competitive fight halfway through, and then Benavidez just turned it on and dominated Plant the second half of the fight. But he did not get knocked out. He went out there and fought his ass off and proved himself, proved that he still got what he has, what it takes. There's been talks of Plant and Demetrius Andrade, you know, the possibility of that before the end of the year. We'll see what happens, but Plant can still get it on. He can still, you know, fight with the best of them, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he bounces back off that defeat to Benavidez. So we'll see. Number 2 is your undefeated former 2-time middleweight champ and current WBC interim champion, super middleweight champion, David Benavidez. Benavidez returned, fought Caleb Plant in March, and that was probably the biggest win of his career. You know, to be able to dominate a former champ like Caleb Plant in the second half of the fight and make it a clean, you know, unanimous decision win really proves that he's fighting on another level. He wanted the Canelo fight. He's not going to get it, but Canelo signed a 3-fight deal, and I think Canelo is in Benavidez's future. We're going to see what he decides to do next, since Canelo decided to fight Charlo. I think Benavidez really has the pick of the litter. It's up to the kind of risk he wants to take. There's Demetrius Andrade. There's David Morrell. And, you know, maybe Charlo. I don't think Jamal Charlo is going to want to fight him. But he really can. There's Vladimir Shishkin. There are fights for him. And, again, it really depends on the kind of risk level he wants to take, knowing that a potential Canelo fight could be on the table. Does he want to fight Morrell and take the risk like he originally planned? Does he want to fight Demetrius Andrade? It's just going to be based on what he decides to do. But I hope he decides soon, and I hope it's a high-level opponent. He does take a risk. I personally would like to see him fight Demetrius Andrade, but I'm not going to be surprised if he chooses Morrell. I'm not going to be surprised if he chooses somebody like Derevyanchenko next, just to not take a super risk, but take enough of a risk to look impressive and stay less of a risk and stay in line to fight Canelo, if that makes sense. We'll see. And still number 1 is the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Saul Canelo Alvarez. Canelo returned in May, took on John Ryder. He told everybody he was taking a tune-up fight to get his hand back in shape after the surgery last year. He took on Ryder, dominated him, put him down a couple times, busted him up, and got a one-sided unanimous decision. Retained a super middleweight title. There was talks about Bivol. I really don't believe he ever wanted Bivol. There was talks about cruiserweight. And Badu Jack said no to a showdown there. And then he offered the fight to Jamal Charlo, but Charlo said he needed more time to get ready because he hadn't fought in over 2 years. So now he's fighting Jermell Charlo. I like this fight. I really do. Charlo is an undisputed champion. He's taking a risk. Yes, Canelo's the bigger guy, but he's fighting a fellow undisputed champion. There's only 3 in the 12 major divisions right now, from 122 to heavyweight. There's only 3 undisputed champions, you know, and Canelo and Charlo are 2 of them. And Charlo's moving up to fight Canelo. Huge fight. Charlo has a name. He's earned the right to challenge Canelo, unlike his brother. And I like the fight. I think Canelo's going to win. I think he's going to knock him out. But you never know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be good. And it's happening Saturday, September 30th on Showtime pay-per-view. And Canelo now has the 3-fight deal with the PBC. So very interested in seeing that fight and then what he decides to do, or what he's contemplating before the end of the year. So 168 is going to be very good, very interesting before we close out the year. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the division that Canelo runs, the face of boxing, what he decides to do heading into the second half of this year. So that's it. That's what I got. That's my 2023 mid-year top 10s in the 168-pound super middleweight division. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.